50 degrees Celsius, no shade, no water visible for miles, sand in every direction, to every horizon. Most people would not survive 3 days here. The Bedouin has been surviving here for 4,000 years. And right now, somewhere in the Arabian Peninsula, somewhere in the Sahara, somewhere in the Negev Desert, a Bedouin man is sitting in a tent made of goat hair, drinking a bowl of warm camel milk, completely at peace. He is not struggling. He is not suffering. He is home. Today, we are going inside the desert diet that made the impossible ordinary. The word Bedouin comes from the Arabic word Badawi. It means simply desert dweller. There are approximately 30 million Bedouin people living across the deserts of the Middle East and North Africa, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, Libya, Syria. Across all of these territories, through summers that reach 50 degrees and desert nights that drop below freezing, the Bedouin have not just survived. They have built a culture, a philosophy, a hospitality tradition, and a way of eating that is one of the most sophisticated adaptations to extreme environment in all of human history. Most people look at a desert and see nothing. A Bedouin looks at a desert and sees a pantry. The foundation of the Bedouin diet rests on 3 things: dates, camel milk, and bread. Just 3 things. These 3 things, in various combinations, have sustained Bedouin communities through droughts that lasted years, through journeys that crossed thousands of kilometers of empty sand, through conditions that would end most modern survival situations. Within days, let us start with dates. The date palm is called the tree of life. In Arabic, this is not poetry. This is nutritional fact. A single date contains natural sugars that convert to energy with extraordinary efficiency, fiber that slows that conversion and prevents the crashes that follow refined sugar consumption, potassium, magnesium, copper, manganese, vitamin B6, all of this in a fruit that weighs less than 10 grams, requires no cooking, no preparation, no refrigeration. A Bedouin traveler crossing the desert can carry enough dates in a small leather pouch to sustain themselves for days. The caloric density of dried dates is approximately 280 calories per 100 grams. The portability is absolute. The shelf life, without any preservation, is measured in months. There is no survival food in any military ration pack, no energy bar produced by any sports nutrition company that matches what the date palm has been providing for 4,000 years. But the Bedouin understanding of dates goes deeper than mere nutrition. They know which varieties provide sustained energy and which provide rapid fuel. They know that dates eaten with camel milk create a combination where the fat in the milk slows the absorption of date sugars, creating hours of steady energy rather than a spike and crash. They know that dates eaten at the breaking of a fast prepare the digestive system gently for the heavier food to follow. This is not written in any nutrition textbook. It is written in 4,000 years of lived experience. Now we come to the animal at the center of Bedouin life, the camel. To understand the Bedouin diet, you must first understand something important. The camel is not just a form of transport. The camel is a complete food system carried on 4 legs. Across the desert, camel milk is the daily staple of Bedouin nutrition, drunk fresh, several times a day, and camel milk is nutritionally extraordinary. Compared to cow's milk, camel milk contains 3 times more vitamin C, 3 times. In a desert environment where fresh fruits and vegetables are nearly impossible to obtain, this single fact is the difference between health and scurvy. Camel milk also contains significantly more iron, more unsaturated fatty acids, a protein structure that is easier to digest than cow's milk, making it suitable even for people who cannot tolerate conventional dairy. The insulin-like proteins in camel milk have been studied for their potential role in managing blood sugar. Several research programs are now investigating camel milk as a complementary treatment for type 2 diabetes. The Bedouin have been drinking it for 4,000 years. They did not need the research. They had the results. The fat in camel milk is distributed differently from cow's milk. The fat globules are smaller, more dispersed. The milk absorbs faster, digests cleaner, provides energy that arrives steadily, rather than in a rush. A Bedouin herder who drinks camel milk in the morning does not need to eat again for hours. He can ride, he can navigate, he can work. In a desert where every unnecessary stop costs water and energy, this matters enormously. But the camel gives more than milk. When a camel is slaughtered, which happens at celebrations, at weddings, at the welcoming of honored guests, the Bedouin use every part, every single part. The meat is lean, high in protein, lower in cholesterol than beef, and rich in the same anti-inflammatory fats found in grass-fed cattle. The hump, contrary to popular belief, does not store water. It stores fat, dense, energy-rich fat that the camel metabolizes during periods of food scarcity. When a Bedouin cooks camel hump, they are cooking the most concentrated energy reserve the animal possesses. The organ meats are consumed first, as they always are, in traditional food cultures that have not forgotten what food is actually for. The liver, the kidneys, eaten within hours of slaughter, providing a flood of fat-soluble vitamins and minerals. In their most bioavailable form, the bones are cracked. For marrow, the fat is rendered and stored, used for cooking, for protecting skin against the desert sun, for waterproofing leather. Nothing is wasted. In the desert, nothing can be wasted. This nose-to-tail philosophy, which modern sustainable food advocates are only now beginning to rediscover, has been standard Bedouin practice since before recorded history. The third pillar of the Bedouin diet is bread, specifically khubz, a simple flatbread made from wheat or barley flour, water, salt, and fire, baked directly on hot coals or on a flat stone heated over an open flame. Khubz requires no oven, no equipment, only flour, water, and heat. In the desert, flour travels well. It is light. It is calorie-dense. It stores for weeks in dry conditions, mixed with date paste, or dipped into clarified butter called sam, or torn apart and shared over a bowl of slow-cooked lamb. Khubz becomes the edible center of every Bedouin social moment. There is a specific Bedouin dish called harshest, wheat and meat, slow-cooked together until they form a dense, unified, deeply nourishing porridge. It is one of the oldest recorded recipes. in the Arabian Peninsula, cooked for celebrations, for recovery from illness, for feeding large groups quickly, from almost nothing. One pot, simple ingredients, maximum nutrition, maximum community. But food in Bedouin culture cannot be separated from hospitality. The two are the same thing. There is an ancient Bedouin law, older than any written code, that a guest must be fed and protected for 3 days and 3 nights. No questions asked, no conditions attached. A stranger who arrives at a Bedouin tent at midnight in the middle of the desert will be offered coffee within minutes. Not tomorrow, not after questions. Within minutes. Arabic coffee, called kahwa, made with cardamom and sometimes saffron, is the immediate gesture of welcome, poured into small handleless cups, offered with the right hand, and refilled automatically, until the guest shakes the cup slightly to signal they have had enough. This coffee contains almost no caffeine compared to Western espresso, but the cardamom aids digestion, warms the body, has mild antibacterial properties. After coffee comes dates, always dates. Then comes the larger meal, if the guest stays. Lamb or camel, slow cooked over hours, served on a vast communal platter of rice, scattered with pine nuts and raisins, fragrant with cardamom and saffron. The host does not eat until the guest has eaten. The host serves and watches and refills. The guest's comfort is the host's honor. In a desert where a lost traveler without food and water will die, this hospitality tradition is not social convention. It is survival infrastructure. It is the way that a community without hospitals, without emergency services, without rescue helicopters, ensures that no one dies. Alone in the sand, generosity made into a law because the desert made it necessary. But the world is changing, and it is changing for the Bedouin too. Since the oil economies of the Gulf transformed the Arabian Peninsula, permanent settlements replaced nomadic routes. Government housing programs offered Bedouin families concrete apartments in towns and cities. Many accepted, and with the apartment came the supermarket. And with the supermarket came white sugar, white flour, processed oil, soft drinks. The same story we saw with the Inuit, the same story we saw with the Maasai. Within one generation, type 2 diabetes rates in former Bedouin communities began rising sharply. Obesity, in a culture where extreme leanness had been universal for centuries, began appearing among those who settled in cities. Cardiovascular disease, in communities where it had been nearly unknown, started claiming lives. The dates are still growing on the same palms. The camels are still there. The knowledge is still there. But the choice changed everything. Young Bedouin men who grew up in cities, who studied in universities, who work in offices, are increasingly returning to the desert. Not because they have to, because they want to. They speak of disconnection, of eating food that tastes like nothing, of bodies that feel wrong in ways they cannot fully explain. And they speak of the desert with something that sounds like grief. What does this tell us? There is something in the Bedouin approach to food that answers the question our current food culture has completely stopped asking. What does food actually do? Beyond filling space in your stomach, the Bedouin answer is not complicated. Food gives energy for movement. Food builds and repairs the body. Food connects people to each other. Food connects people to the land they live on, and food is the first language of welcome. Modern life has given us extraordinary abundance. 10,000 ingredients available in any supermarket. Food from every culture on Earth, available on any street in any major city. And yet, rates of metabolic disease are at historic highs. Rates of loneliness while eating are at historic highs. The connection between what we eat and where it came from has been severed so completely that most people in the developed world cannot name a single farm that produced their food. The Bedouin herder who milks his camel at dawn knows that animal by name. He knows its history. He knows what it ate yesterday. He knows exactly what he is putting into his body because he watched it grow. That connection is not romantic nostalgia. It is accountability. It is respect. It is the foundation of a relationship with food that kept a people alive in one of the most hostile environments on Earth. For 4,000 years, the Bedouin who rises before dawn, prays facing east, drinks his first cup of kawa in silence, eats 3 dates, and prepares to move his herd to the next grazing ground, is not missing anything. He knows where his food comes from. He knows who will share it with him. He knows exactly what his body needs, and exactly how to provide it. From the desert that most of us would not survive for a week, the desert is not empty. For those who know how to read it, it is full. The Bedouin are still out there, still moving, still brewing kawa in goat hair tents, still pressing dates into the hands of strangers before asking a single question. Maybe the most nourishing thing about the Bedouin diet is not the food itself. Maybe it is the intention behind it. Food given freely. Food shared completely. Food that says, "You are welcome here," before a single word is spoken. Maybe the most radical thing we could do for our own health is not a new diet, not a new supplement, not a new protocol. Maybe the most radical thing is to sit down with another human being, put real food on the table between you, and share it, the way the Bedouin have always done, the way human beings were always meant to do. If this way of life speaks to something in you, if you have ever looked at your plate and wondered what you have lost, subscribe to Hidden Ways of Living. Every week, we go deeper. The Inuit hunters, the Mongolian nomads, the Maasai warriors, and now, the Bedouin wanderers. They are still out there, and their stories are waiting for you.